So do you want to report about One Oak that we got fines and community service so far?
Yes, so, I was gonna make my report and I'll just.
Do you want to wait till we get to your report?
That's okay, do it now.
Okay.
It's okay. I just wanted to mention to you that we started a new process in court where we started giving out community service as an option. And we had one case where there was 4 defendants with, each of them had 2 or 3 charges. And what we did as an option is they paid a substantial fine also, but then they also got substantial community service. Those people are gonna be reporting to the village. And between now and the second week of January and they should be given assignments, basic community
I have
community
assignments
service
with them. My list
assignments
is
for
long.
the village. And so that seemed to be, so far, worked pretty well. I mean, it's significant to them and significant to them as far as a deterrence, we hope, and then also it hopefully will work for the village. And with that particular situation, there were 1 or 2 court dates where we had conferences where I spent a lot of time just making sure that they are aware that it was, it was a very serious situation. I don't think that they realized at the beginning of the process that, the seriousness of what was happening there. And, but so far it's moved along and it's come to with a lot of work by public safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the mayor and the board, hopefully it's reached an end, so,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Frank, and both you and Joe. I mean, the 3 of us going back and forth with Stony Brook University, hopefully it lasts. I think we're at a good spot now. The semester's ending. We'll see what happens next semester. Thank you. Treasurer? Want to do your report?
As of November 30th, we have a total of $326,965.78 in all our bank accounts. Did you want me to read my treasurer's message?
Sure.
Okay. So the mayor asked me to do a little summary. So this is my treasurer's message as of November 30th, that we are now at the 6-month period. So we're halfway through, we have 6 months under our belt. The village is basically right on target, has collected half of the year's revenue to date for its franchise cable fees, our mooring fees, our court fines, and the mortgage tax. We haven't collected any CHIPS monies yet, but we also haven't spent any CHIPS expenditures. The village has collected double the budgeted amount for building permits, which facilitates surplus revenues for any unexpected repairs or maintenance expenditures now that we are approaching the winter months. And did Chris present the final drafts, the final?
He gave the board the final ones. We're going to do resolution tonight.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So the New York State Comptroller's Office suggests that any village retain a fund balance of between 10 and 20% of their fiscal budget. So as it stands, this village maintains a 20% fund balance. That means that we are very healthy and stable in our financial position.
Joe, you want to do stormwater?
Okay, so, memo from Richard Parish Environmental Commission report. I posted this year's semi-annual stormwater report as required by the changes to the updated NYSDEC stormwater regulations for public comment on the village website. Additionally, I provided courtesy copies to Mayor Parish, Trustee Schaefer, and to George Hoffman, the founder of the Poquott Harbor Task Force. I received no public comment over the period of 35 days in which it was available to the public. Accordingly, I executed and submitted the documents to the NYSDEC on December 1st, 2016. The final signed copy of the report has been posted onto the website on the stormwater page. I arranged and attended a meeting with New York State Regional Director Kerry Meek Gallagher, Poquott Harbor Task Force founder George Hoffman, and representatives from the town of Brookhaven to discuss sources of pollution to Poquott Harbor. We made some arrangements to perform inspections at targeted buildings in Poquott to determine their potential for illicit discharge of raw sewage to the harbor. I will report to the board when the date for the inspection has been set. This activity was performed as part of our stormwater permit requirement for minimal control methods for public outreach. Based upon the visual inspection of the stormwater dry wells in the village, I believe we can defer sediment removal and maintenance until March of next year. Unless otherwise directed by the board, I will start to compile a list for early March. Report by Richard Parrish.
Thank you. Okay, public comments? You have to say your name and
Lois
address.
Mitchell, 49 Van Brunt. On the treasurer's report, the cash balances are very nice to have, but it would be also nice to have a regular balance sheet, since it's supposed to be the treasurer's report. So I assume we have a balance sheet of asset and liabilities.
Up front.
I got it. It's not a balance sheet, it's a cash.
There's more,
There's more up there? Oh, okay,
There's a
then I'll
balance
go look. All right, then I missed it, then I'm sorry. Okay, on expenses, the Justice Department has already overspent the year's budget, and it's only 6 months. I have a few of these, of questions about the budget. So my question is, why has the Justice Department in 6 months spent all of its budget? Do you want me to wait an answer, or I should just go through the
I
question?
can answer each one if you want.
Okay, yeah, why don't we do it one at a time, then it won't be so confusing. So the Justice Department has spent the entire budget already.
So we originally, when we did the budget, planned on the court meeting once a month. Our village justice decided that that's not in the best interest of the residents, and has been meeting every month, so he will be over, that category will be over budget this year.
So that'll be over budgeted by about 7,000, so that's 7,000.
I don't know,
we'll
it's gonna be over
that.
budget by, I don't know how you know unless you're the crystal ball.
Okay, good, thank you.
The prosecutor, I don't know what was budgeted for the prosecutor, but I think the person before me was charging $250 or $300 an appearance, and I charged either $87
Or nothing.
or nothing, or $175 or whatever, some small amount, so we got that cut back.
Okay, thank you.
But we have some fixed expenses, as you know, every time we meet.
Okay, my next question is about legal. I have this.
What's behind it? So you have that.
Is there another page in the back?
There's 3.
Yeah, this is not a balance sheet, this is just a cash
Oh, I
balance.
thought you just said the front page.
Is it, the balance sheet isn't, this is just the cash balance, it's not a balance
In the
sheet
future, we'll have a balance.
for accounting. Usually their balance sheet is assets and liabilities.
It's up in front.
It's a cash balance, it's not.
No, they're up on the
there is
front
balance
pages.
sheet also besides the revenue and
Oh, okay, well,
expenditures.
somebody
It's
just
a-
gave it to me, I'll have to look up, I'll go up and look,
I
okay.
can give you a copy if you don't have
No,
one.
she has it, she's just not on the right page, there's different pages.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
thank
go
you.
ahead and look, I'm not gonna waste time with that at the moment. The next question is legal. The budget's 11,000, so far we've spent 17, so it looks like legal, if we continue on, will be over budget by about $12,000.
Again, I don't know how you know what will be over budget unless you have a crystal ball.
Well, I assume the 11,000 that was meant for the entire year, so I took half of that, that's 5,500. And we're already 7,000 over, so I took the 7,000 over plus the 5,500, averaged about 12,000. So that's why I said, because we're still gonna use legal. So that's
Respectfully,
where
I
I came with
can't
that
go with
number.
your numbers, okay?
Pardon?
'Cause I respectfully can't go with your numbers. What you thought the numbers were gonna be at the end of May 31st, we weren't even close to. So, you know, that's why I think that we should
I disagree,
just
but we
wait and see.
we can talk about that at another time. My question is, the budget for the 12 months of legal is 11,000. In 6 months, we have spent 17,000. So my question is, why is the legal so over budget?
We've had various cases for the village. We've had lawsuits against the village that were not budgeted for, and we had to have
What kind of lawsuits?
many.
Well, I mean, if there's lawsuits against the village, the public should know about them. So what kind of lawsuits against the village?
We've had trials I don't have them on the top, at the top of my.
Joe, what kind of
I don't know if
lawsuits
he
do we
does
have
any.
against the village that would call for this?
Well, there's been litigation involving the village. One was the election case. There's also been, I think, 2 cases where we had to hire outside counsel. That's included in this. And I think that's basically it. That's those 3 items.
Okay, thank you. The engineer is also over budget, I assume, that's for your projects, but the engineer is over budget. And it's only 6 months, it's over the year's budget.
But the end balance is that we're over budget stuff.
I'm asking about each, there are some things that get paid all at once. I mean, the snow has not even started coming. The filling of the potholes has not been done. So it's not, I'm just talking about things that are usually done equally throughout. Like, for instance, the clerk's office is almost 50-50, that makes sense. All right, public relations, the website is way over budget. What did we do with the website? And is that gonna, are we gonna continue that, or was that like a one-time shot and it'll be even out at the end of the year?
It's actually for 2 years and it's paying for all the email accounts. So it's, next year they'll be there.
Next year what?
It's a one-time fee for 2 years to
Oh,
pay for all the
okay.
email accounts.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. The traffic signs, which frankly, if you talk about aesthetic, it looks like any other place in the state now. I really preferred the old traffic signs, but that's another thing. The traffic signs are, we had, the traffic signs, we had budgeted supplies and service. Well, actually, the bottom line of the traffic control signs, I think those really are capital expenses rather than supplies and services. So I think they're misnomered, but the traffic signs, we've spent the entire budget.
Mandated by the state to do so.
Pardon me?
We were mandated by the state to do exactly what we did.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, I mean.
All the street signs had to be changed,
Okay.
all the stop signs.
And how did
had-
the state communicate with the village to mandate that?
We have a sign commissioner who took care of that.
They just sit down there and tell you, you must do this. This has to be
No,
done.
I understand that, but what I want to know is like, who sat down with who? I mean, how did that, did somebody write a letter to the village, or how?
I think it was written about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Gary, who's now the commissioner of signs, went and looked it up and realized that we weren't in compliance back in 2010 or 2012, and gave us what needs to be done to bring it in compliance.
Okay. All right, and then the only other thing I have is that the parks seem to have spent a good, between California Park and Trustees Park, it's almost the entire year's budget. And as we know, there's a lot of money that has to be spent in the spring, so that the park budget is way over. And then the other comment, which I kind of say all the time, is that the CHIPS money is really grant money, and it's in the right now, it's in the general income and should be in the general, and is in the general expenses, and I think it should be taken out of that and put into grant money, because I know when I was roads commissioner, we'd save up CHIPS money for 2, 3, 4 years and not spend it so that we could fix the roads. So I just think that the presentation of it is a little bit misleading, but it's in there and it's out of there. And the other thing is bringing up the fact that I was roads commissioner and I worked with John Evans, who was fabulous at the time, gave me a lot of advice, is that the roads are in terrible shape. And it really, with a friend of mine, we just took a walk, and we walked on, I walked on Singing Wood, I walked on some of the other roads, and crumbling, and and when the snow comes and it freezes, it's just gonna make it even worse. And I know you're planning all kinds of capital expenditures and stuff like that, but I think that if we talk about unsightly on the maintenance thing, I think that, you know, it's like take care of our own. We should have roads that are not gonna fall apart, and the way they're left for this winter is only gonna make it worse and more costly in the spring.
Thank you.
Yes.
Diana Padilla, 61 Washington Street. At a previous meeting, there were questions and discussions about what can be done with the revenues that are collected from us on our taxes for snow. And so each year, our tax bill has a certain amount that we pay into the village for snow. Many of us believe that that money would only be used for snow removal. However, the mayor asked the auditor several times, can that money be used for anything? And the auditor said, yes, that money can be used for anything. So if all of the snow, I would like to know two things. One is, how is it determined how much we are billed each year for snow removal? And second, if all the money in a given year, if there's a surplus at the end of the year because we had a low snowfall that year, what happens to that money? And I would like to request that the village use that for the next year's snow, so that,
Request it, but we have, go ahead.
because otherwise, this is essentially taxing us some arbitrary amount that could easily then be abused by just charging us more and more and more to essentially create a slush fund, which
The
many of
residents
us
pay
think
equally
is
the snow and
inappropriate.
garbage, correct, Joe? Which is a separate item on their tax bill for garbage and snow.
Correct, there's a separate item for snow.
We've never had extra money in snow until this year. We made the decision, the clerk's office, Natalie, auditor, and the auditors to separate it out in the fund balance. We didn't have to do that. We were expecting maybe we will have a bad year, but we'll have to wait and see. So we have done that. We didn't have to do that, we did it.
But that's not my question. How is it determined how much we're charged? And is.
The bid process, when they
and-
win the bid.
No, individually.
It's, go ahead, Joe, it's equally,
The full amount of the snow removal fund is divided between 374 houses equally.
Right. But, so the bid that as I understood your description of the bid, it was how much they would charge per snowplow per thing. Do they give us a bid for the entire winter, or is it a per hourly rate?
We got a per hourly rate,
Right.
with $50,000 in snow is an estimate.
Okay, so our bid was a per hourly rate. Then you use that per hourly rate to then generate an estimated total cost?
no, we took past amounts that we spent on snow and averaged it out and come up with the amount of what the snow's gonna be.
That was my question. So you use how many years past?
I don't remember, we did it last February, I don't remember.
Okay, so
exactly.
you use a certain number of years, how much we spent in previous years, and then that's how it's determined how much we're billed for.
Yes,
And is this written summed out where there's a procedure where basically it's transparent to us how it is calculated each year? And could we get an assurance from the village that if there's a surplus in a given year, that it will be put towards snow removal in the future? Because I'm sure that there's years in the future where, like this year may be a really, really bad snow year that exceeds expectations.
right, and that's happened in the past. So, no, we can't, because we don't know what's gonna come up. There could be a storm we don't know about. There could be a $44,000
So-
expenditure to get people out of the village for
But
one
why,
day
why
that we're not
couldn't,
aware of.
why couldn't you apply this year's surplus to snow removal in the future when we do have those greater than
We
expected?
have done that for this year. Thank you. Any other comments?
Cindy Davis, Joe, could you
Could
elaborate?
you stand up, say your name, say your address?
Cindy Davis, 11 Birchwood Avenue, East Poquott. Could you elaborate what the election expenses were? You said they were the charges. Did the village pay for the when the people were taken off the ballot?
No.
Did we pay their, we did
No.
not pay their? So what
Emphatically, no.
charges were there against the village? for
The
election?
the village was named as a party, and that portion of the litigation had a village legal expense. Just that was related to the village as a party.
Okay.
It
Thank
sued me.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, Mr. Newfield was a party, I apologize.
Oh, I don't want you to do this.
Any other
That's what you
comments?
do is.
We were gonna let him
explain
tough it out on his
You know,
own, but we
if you let
decided.
people know what's going on, it makes it a lot easier.
John?
Film covers Van Brunt Manor Road. Isn't the snow a separate district from our tax money?
No, we covered that at the working meeting.
It's not a snow district.
So we're not.
We do not have a snow district?
No.
You're not.
It's not part of our, it's not collected at the tax rate. It's collected per
As a
house.
user fee.
Is it?
It's as a separate user fee on your tax bill.
Equal amount for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not a snow district?
No, you do not have a snow district, no.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. Oh, what are we doing? Okay, we'll wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
My goodness. Yeah, that's why my friends keep saying, why don't you just use it? I don't know, I tried to look at one of the houses earlier. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, we didn't get it yet.